Hello again. In this episode I want to talk about a bunch of stuff for traveling in Saudi Arabia. So basically, how did I get there? What do you need to enter the country? How's food and hotels and how to communicate and all stuff like this. And just a quick note, of course, the informations I have are from beginning of 2025. A lot of stuff is changing, also with the surrounding countries, so make sure to check the most recent informations for you and for your country. And of course, this is all just like personal opinion or personal information. Other people might have another opinion or maybe just see things different. So first of all, until 2019, Saudi Arabia was basically closed for tourists. Only pilgrimages coming to Mecca or Medina were allowed into the country. So traveling was pretty difficult unless you were working for some Saudi Arabian company or for international company operating in Saudi Arabia. But in 2016, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman presented the Vision 2030, which focused on a more open-minded Saudi Arabia and making sports, culture and sports event a national priority. Since then, massive tourist projects and other international projects were, as said, made to a priority. And big luxury resorts popped up. Even they want to build a ski resort. Of course, as you know, 2034, they got the Soccer World Cup to Saudi Arabia. So alongside the religious tourism with pilgrimages to Mecca and Medina, an international tourism started. And in 2019, the first tourist visa was issued. The visa itself is an e-visa, so it's an electronic visa. You apply for it on the website and it's valid for 90 days. You can, it's a multi-entry visa, so you can get in and out the country. And it costs about, I think, 100 euros. Plus you need an insurance, but that's also offered on the e-visa site, and you can take your insurance with the same on the same website as you do your e-visa. So how did I get me and my bike to Saudi Arabia? My original plan was to ride with my motorcycle from Austria through the Balkans and Turkey into Iraq. From Iraq, there's no direct border crossing into Saudi Arabia. So we'd have to detour via Kuwait or Jordan and enter Saudi Arabia from there. I planned this route for over 2 years. My bags were packed and I was ready to go. But due to some unforeseen events, the plan fell apart. In late 2024, it felt like the situation in the Middle East, especially at the borders, was changing almost every week. So proper planning became almost impossible. My biggest problem, tourists weren't allowed to cross overland from Iraqi Kurdistan into central Iraq due to visa rules. But for everybody looking at this route, this would be possible now. A lot of travelers heading to Saudi Arabia then took a detour through Iran. The idea was to enter Iraqi Kurdistan, leave into Iran, and then re-enter Iraq a few hundred kilometers further south. Because of the conflicts between Iran and Israel at the time and the overall shaky security situation, I didn't want to take that risk. Going through Syria was also off the table because of the political situation there. For many years, there used to be a ferry from Thessaloniki in Greece to Haifa in Israel. From there, you could go through Jordan and into Saudi Arabia. But that option wasn't available at the time of my planned trip either. Of course, somehow it would have worked out. But my star sign is Virgo, and Virgos need to have a plan. I know, that's not the best thing that can happen to an adventure traveler, but I got to live with it. So I need another plan. I tried to ship the motorcycle directly to Jeddah, but as of 2025, temporary import of a motorcycle by sea as a private individual isn't possible. Sea imports require an Arabic tax number, which I obviously don't have. The next idea was to take a ferry to Egypt and ride from there to Saudi Arabia. Turns out there are no passenger ferries to Egypt anymore, just a cargo ship from Barcelona to Alexandria. I sent inquiries but never got a reply. So in the end, I decided to ship the bike to Dubai. It took a lot of time and cost me about 2 months of my planned travel time, but the process itself was pretty straightforward. Online, I found a shipping company called Bangia Cargo, which offers transport from Bremen to Dubai. The price was around 900 euros per leg, including all custom paperwork. The bike didn't need to be specially prepared. It's loaded, ride ready and strapped down inside a container, which is insanely convenient. For importing into the Emirates, you need a packing list, a carnet de passage and a motorcycle insurance valid for United Emirates. The carnet and the insurance, of course, cost extra. My motorcycle is a 2024 KTM 890 Adventure R with a few modifications. Honestly, none of these changes are necessary. I just enjoy tuning my bike, and some of the mods make riding easier and help make up for my own shortcomings. I'm super happy with my bike and had zero issues. What stands out with this bike is that although I had a lot of crashes, nothing on the bike got bent or broke. This is just a killer adventure bike. I'd describe my trips as classic adventure travel. Since the country was completely new and unknown to me, my main goal was simply to see the country's natural and cultural highlights. I like meeting people, experience the local culture and trying traditional food. So basically the same what most travelers do. What maybe sets my trip apart a bit is that I travel solo, completely on my own, while trying to master challenging and demanding off-road routes. The best time for a trip like this is from October to April. Summertime is just too hot. But in December and January it can even snow in the mountains, and nighttime temperatures often drop below freezing. In October or April, the desert and the coast can already hit up to 40 degrees. But on average, daytime temperatures are between 20 and 30 degrees. One thing you should know is that days are short and nights are long, especially when you are camping. Sun rises around 7 and sets around 5 p.m. That gives you long and sometimes cold nights in your tent. A few things about roads, or can you travel Saudi Arabia without going off-road? Saudi Arabia has a really well-developed road network. You can travel almost the entire country on good paved roads. You can even cross the Rub al Khali on asphalt, and you can reach the Hisma Desert by road as well. The downside? Most roads are dead straight and get boring pretty quickly. The only real exception is the south, in the Azir Mountains, where you find some absolutely amazing paved mountain roads. Still, if you want to reach certain natural highlights, having a proper off-road vehicle is definitely recommended. Alternatively, you can book one of the guided tours, like this one, through Wadi Disa. Yeah, just don't take this one. But if you truly love off-roading, Saudi Arabia is an absolute paradise. Whether it's completely trackless desert or challenging gravel passes up in the mountains, it's all there. Saudis drive fast, always and everywhere. I've never seen so many destroyed and burned cars at the side of the road. And no, those are not electric vehicles. And to stop people from doing 200 kilometers an hour all the time, they use insanely annoying speed bumps. The sheer number of those speed bumps almost drove me insane. Overtaking happens anywhere and everywhere. People drive into oncoming traffic, stare at their phones, pull out of exits without looking, or just straight up ignore the fact that someone else is coming. As a pedestrian, you're basically screwed. Pedestrian crossings are rare, and when they do exist, drivers couldn't care less. That said, once you get used to it and adapt your own driving style, it's actually kind of okay. On my trips, I definitely like to test my limits. Pushing those limits and facing my fears is just part of the experience for me. When my friends wish me a crash-free trip, I can't help but laugh inside and think they have no idea what I'm actually doing out there. Of course, I try to avoid crashing. Every fall comes with a risk of injury. But if you push yourself off-road, crashes are simply part of the game. That's also one of the reasons why I usually travel alone. I don't really want anyone to see how bad I actually am at riding a motorcycle. The biggest surprise for me was the people. And not only the Arabs, you will also meet people from the Emirates, Qatar, India, Bangladesh, Yemen, Somalia, Ethiopia, and many more. I found the people in Saudi Arabia to be incredibly friendly, helpful, and welcoming. Some of the most hospitable people I have ever met. I always felt safe and very welcomed during the whole trip. As you can see, there were a lot of laughs and I got invited for food, tea and coffee. A lot. And quick note for the women watching my video. You probably noticed that I barely show any women. I had very little contact with women overall. Whenever I was invited somewhere, I was usually sitting with men only. Women were introduced to me only in very rare cases. And of course I wanted to respect their culture and did not approach women from my side. But if you want to travel Saudi Arabia as a woman, you can do that even on your own without any problems. I know several women who did it and loved it as well. So thank you once more to everybody I met for making me feel so welcomed in your country. Getting food was actually one of my biggest challenges. As you can see in the pictures, there was no lack of food, from traditional food like camel meat and fish to sweet desserts. Everything was great. I often ate with people the traditional way, during their break in the workshop or also out in the desert, just sitting on the carpet and eating food with your fingers. But from time to time, I just wanted to sit down in a chair and table in a restaurant and having my meal. And this was sometimes difficult to find outside the tourist areas. There were lots of food places, but most of them were takeaway only with nothing to sit down. So I ended up sitting on the sidewalk for dinner. But sometimes the staff felt some sympathy with me and brought me a chair and table to sit down. In bigger cities like Riyadh or Jeddah, in tourist areas like Al Ula or in the south around Taif, Aba and Al Baha, you'll find great restaurants with normal seating just like back home. When I was camping in the desert or just wanted a quick snack, I got my food in the supermarket. But I often just found some packed croissants, a lot of sweets and chips. But no real food that I can cook on my little stuff. So if you're planning a trip to Saudi Arabia, don't forget to practice deep squats, keep your hips flexible and stretch your legs and your back. And if I'm going again, it's definitely a camping chair that is on top of my packing list for the next time. On average, I spent about 3 to 4 nights camping and then 1 to 2 nights in a hotel. The camping nights were fantastic. I slept really well almost every time. Usually completely undisturbed. Some of my best wild camping spots ever were in Saudi Arabia. I never had any issues with wild camping, not with animals like snakes, scorpions or wolves, and not with people or authorities either. According to the official Saudi tourism website, you're technically supposed to have a camping permit. I tried to apply for one, but the website simply never worked. Hotels were a bit more complicated. In tourist hotspots like Al Ula, parts of the Red Sea coast, or in Jeddah, there are hotels, but many of them are ultra luxury. In Al Ula, prices can go into the thousands. I was looking for classic mid-range hotels in the 50 to 70 euros per night range, but they are pretty rare. I mainly found them in the mountain region between Taif and Al-Baha. Booking.com also didn't have a huge selection yet. That's changing fast. What you do find almost everywhere are apartment buildings where you can rent a whole apartment for one night at a reasonable price, around 40 to 60 euro per night. You get a big place all to yourself, plenty of space to spread out. The downside? Often no towels or no toilet paper, but somehow I always managed. One thing that stood out, many rooms or apartments had no windows, or windows completely blacked out. That's probably because of the summer heat. Still, it felt a bit strange when I wanted to take a rest day and didn't even have a window to look out. Bathrooms also took some getting used to. Toilet and shower are usually in the same space. Toilets are often squat toilets. That felt weird at first, but I learned to appreciate the advantages. You can literally do your business and shower at the same time. The water runs into the same drain, and at the end you just push everything into the hole with a broom. Towns and cities and popular tourist places are generally really clean. And there is a big effort to keep the country clean. You see trash bins everywhere, sometimes even in places that feel incredibly remote. Around cities, you'll see many migrant workers collecting trash, and even in lesser known tourist places. Littering is also officially punishable by fines, at least according to the signs you see everywhere. But the country is huge and there's still a massive amount of plastic trash everywhere. In the desert, on beaches, in the mountains, especially plastic bottles. My photos and videos show great nature, but if you look closely, you will see there's tons of plastic trash everywhere. And this was heartbreaking to see. Please, please, please take care of your environment. You might think fueling up in Saudi Arabia would be easy. After all, it's one of the biggest oil producers in the world. But out in the countryside, especially in the east and central parts of the country, you actually need to plan your fuel stops carefully when riding a motorcycle. Gas stations were often 150 to 200 kilometers apart. That's usually manageable, but if you miss one, or if it's closed, things can get tight pretty fast. Quite a few stations were abandoned or shut down entirely. The fuel quality itself, though, was always fine. At larger gas stations along the main routes, you'll usually find everything: a workshop, a supermarket, multiple drive-through restaurants, a barber, and a mosque where you can also wash up. Also, you can pay most of your expenses with a credit card or your cell phone or your watch, but also with cash. So how did I communicate in Saudi Arabia? The main language spoken is, of course, Arabic, and also a lot of the road signs or signs on the buildings are in Arabic only. So that didn't make orientation easy. If you're looking for something special in a city and you're driving along and you can't read the signs, it's not the easiest way to get around. English is mostly only spoken by people that work for international companies or studied overseas. Most of the Saudis just speak Arabic. So I used Google Translate to communicate, which was very easy because the Saudi Arabian people are very open-minded to technology. Everybody has Google Translate on their cell phones, even on their watches and stuff. So that was pretty easy. However, a lot of immigrants also working there from African countries, from India, Bangladesh, etc. And they all speak English, of course, so to communicate with them was easy. And those are the people that work at the gas stations, in the restaurants, in supermarkets, etc., etc. So what was the trip cost overall? I spent 6,920 euros for 71 days of traveling. My budget that I allowed myself was 5,000 euros for the trip. So this was about 2,000 above my budget, but this already included the flights and the shipping to Dubai, from and to Dubai. So this was 900 euros for shipping each way, and around 400 euro for the flights. If I deduct this, then I'm under the 5,000 euros that I allowed myself to spend during the trip. Beside the shipment and the flight, the biggest cost that you can see here was the accommodation. I spent around 2,100 euros for accommodation. That's this one. And as you can see, this is from the end. So let's go all the way down to the beginning. I spent like 20 euros, 50 euros, 60, 70 euros, 40 euros, 50 euros, 30 euros. It got cheaper, by the way, 20 euros, 30 euros, 40 euros, something like this that I spent for hotels. In the second part of the trip, I spent more time in the hotels. So in general, I spent around 3, 4, 5 nights in my tent, and then like 2 or 3 nights in a hotel. The next bigger costs were like fees. That's here. And with fees, I mean mainly insurance stuff. The visa is included and the insurance with 180 euros. Then I have the carnet, the passage here, which was around 320 euros with fees and shipping. And then there's a lot of insurance stuff. So if I deduct those 2,200 euros for flights and shipping, and the fees that I had to spend with around 1,000 euros, that means in general, or in total, I spent around 3,500 euros for living for the 71 days. Again, this was accommodation. The restaurants, if you take a quick look in here, restaurants, the meals cost around like between 2 euros and in average 6, 10, 7 euros. If I had a really, really good meal, it was more like 15 euros, but no more than that. And the next thing is the transport. That's the gas I needed. If you look at this, it's mostly 6 euros, 10 euros that I spent for gas. 6 euros is for like 11 liters, 6 euros for 10 liters, 10 liters, stuff like that. The 10 euros was for almost 20 liters of gas. So yeah, that's what I spent in average for the gas. And then there's some smaller stuff that's like washing the clothes, some sunscreen and stuff, USB charger, then some repairs and stuff like that. The sites, museums, some entrance fees. And then there's the shopping. That's when I went for some food in supermarkets, bought something to drink and stuff. You see, that's no more than like 2, 3, 4, 5 euros per shopping trip. It's mostly some croissants, something to drink, some little snacks. Yeah, again, that's my total what I spent for this trip. So here's a few words about why I really loved Saudi Arabia so much and why I'd recommend traveling to Saudi Arabia. First of all, of course, the people. They were unbelievable hospital everywhere. I was constantly invited for coffee or tea or food, or even to stay at their houses or at their places. Many people gave me their phone number and told me I could call them anytime when I have a problem. That was really cool because I felt much more secure and safe when I was traveling out there alone. And I never once had a bad feeling about being out there alone or walking through a city at night or sleep in my tent. And talking about sleeping in my tent, normally if I sleep in my tent and I hear like voices or sounds around my tent at 2 o'clock in the morning, I get a little bit scared. But in Saudi Arabia, it's totally different. Watch the video why. Jetzt haben wir da am Strand auch gesehen und die haben mir einfach was zum Essen vorbeigebracht. Das müsst ihr euch mal anschauen. Und da Wasser dazu zum Trinken. Ja, das habe ich jetzt halt. So as you see, my thoughts in the night when somebody was walking around my tent, the only thoughts were, oh my God, no, I can't eat no more food. It got to the point where complete strangers just handed me bananas and dates and water out of their cars from the passenger window, even when we were driving while they overtook me. That was kind of fun because I couldn't take all the stuff on my motorbike that they gave out the passenger windows. And there was nobody trying to be pushy or trying to sell me something on the roads. And as a motorcycle or bike rider, you would like this. There was no dogs chasing you, running after you. And also, I like the fact that there's no alcohol and no drugs in the country. Personally, I don't care because I don't drink alcohol anyways. But it's so nice to walk through the cities and there's no homeless, drunken people lying on the street. It's just feels so much safer and nicer. But again, as said already, all the experiences are very personal and another person might find it totally different. I was in contact with another guy from Austria traveling Saudi Arabia, and after a few days he just left the country again because it just didn't click with the whole country and with the people. So yeah, but for me, Saudi Arabia definitely one of the best trips I've ever done in my life. The whole experience was just so fantastic, and yeah, I just wanted to leave those impressions with you. Thanks for watching again. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it, and hope to see you again on my channel for the next videos. See you soon. Oh, don't forget, rock and roll.